morning, all the viewers. As usual, every Saturday, 11 a.m. we are here with our team. So last time, Mr. Hari, his presentation was outstanding. And this time, this is just the second part of that webinar. So we are trying our best to connect every corner of India in this wonderful webinar. As you Saturday 11 a.m. we are here. So thank you people. In the guidance of our additional Director General, Madam Rupinder Brar, we are here with the 75 webinar series. 75 destination with tour guides, and always we choose the best one. So the Mr. Hari, that he is going to show us again the second part of this webinar series, and which is which will be the ultimate presentation you will enjoy. So Mr. Hari, come forward and show us the beautiful folk paintings from every corner of the India. Thank you, Hariji. Come forward.
Namaste, Vanakkam. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hari. As you have joined me last time with the Folk Paintings of India, Part 1 series. I would like to run down with the previous presentation so that you can get a recollection of what we had done last time, so that we can go on to the present one. So here we are. Last time what we had seen is we had started with the presentation on floor paintings. Then we went on to that is starting with Kolam in Tamil Nadu. Then we went on to Jyoti Chitta in Odisha, sorry, Kolam in Kerala, Alpana in Bengal, followed by Aipan in the Command region of Himalayas, then Chaukpurna of North India, followed by which we went to Kalameluthu, which is the ritual floor drawing done in Kerala, and also the Hase Chitra from Karnataka we did. Then we went on to Barli, wall painting of Maharashtra. We saw some of the master artists over there, followed by how the commercial element of the art form has taken place in modern times. Then we have seen Saura painting of Odisha, followed by Pitora of Gujarat. Then Beel Mandana of Rajasthan, followed by the Meena Mandana, again from Rajasthan. Then finally, we ended our presentation with the Chorai and Kowar of Hazaribagh region in Jharkhand. So today we will have a continuation. From here, I would like to take you to other places across India to showcase folk paintings. Now this time, this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, we will be looking into other folk art forms, which is more of a continuation from the previous one. To begin with, I'll begin with the art form called as Jangar Kalam. Jangar Kalam also goes with a popular name as Gond painting, but it's a misnomer. Why Jangar Kalam is because of this young gentleman you see in the center. He is Jangan Singh Shyam. Next to him is his wife, Nankosi Asham, and on the extreme right, you could see is artist, one of the important persons in modern Indian art movement, that is Jagadish Swaminathan. He is also the brain behind the founding of Bharat Bhavan in Bhopal. Sometime before the founding of Bharat Bhavan in Bhopal, Jagadish Swaminathan sent his assistants across central India, especially Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh region, to look out for tribal artisans. And they were looking out for clay work, not any painting. So one of the days, what happened, and his influence was because the research work which was done by a British missionary who became an anthropologist, Mr. Verrier Elwin. It was in the early 1900s when he settled in India. He became a Gandhian later on, and most of his work on the Gond community in central India was based from Patangad in Madhya Pradesh. And his assistant, Shyamrao Hivale, had done a very important and seminal book called as the Oral Narratives of the Pardhans of Upper Narmada Valley. Keeping this book in mind, Jagadish Swaminathan sends his assistants to go explore in this region to look out for clay artisans. And guess what happens? They could not find any clay artisans, but they stumbled upon a young 21-year-old boy who had made some paintings on his wall. And his name is Jangan Singh Shyam. So that is where you get the name Jangar Kalam. Immediately he was invited to Bhopal, and he was given residence in the outhouse of painter Jagadish Swaminathan's residence when he was living in the professor's colony. And that was the time also Bharat Bhavan was in the creation stage, and the official date of its establishment was in 1982. And this collaboration between tribal artists and modern artists gave birth to what you know today as the Gond painting. Please remember, Gond painting is a common parlance which is rightly to be called as Jangar Kalam, named after the innovator, that is Mr. Jangar Singh Shah. It was in 81, ladies and gentlemen. Then in 86, the Vidhan Sabha of Madhya Pradesh commissioned Jangar Singh Shah to paint a particular portion in the Vidhan Sabha, which you can see over here. And these paintings, what Jangar Singh Shyam had bought out into mural and paper and canvas later on, was mostly from the oral epics, which were from the main repertoire of the Pardhans. The Pardhans are a sect within you could call it a sect among the Gond community, who are the priests, and also they use an instrument called the Bana to narrate the oral history of the Gond community. So that memory, he bought it into art. So here you can see the Vidhan Sabha, and he was paid about 7 lakh rupees for his work. This happened in 1986. Using this money, usually what happens, 7 lakhs in 86 is a big amount. Using this money, most of the artists would have built a home in their village. But Jangar Singh Shyam went back to his village, got his relatives and other members of the Pardhan community to come to convince them about making a livelihood through this art form, convince them to come to Bhopal, shared his home with them, and started to train them. And they all together started to innovate the art form. So this gave birth literally a nucleus of this work. Later on, Jangar Singh Shyam was invited to various art galleries across the globe. And here is one of the murals he's painting in one of the museum art galleries in Paris. And here is one of his last photographs in the Mithila Museum in Japan. And there is this tragic story related to Jangar Singh Shyam, which I'll come to it later. So here you could see some of his artworks. Here is his visualization of the serpent coming again from the Pardhan oral narratives. Then he started to innovate about lives on trees, animals, and here is an image of the goddess. I'm sorry, there is my internet is pretty slow, I don't know. I'm having time in the moment. So nevertheless, please do bear with me. And here is a depiction of one of the goddess in the Pardhan oral lore. And a tragic incident happened in 2001 when Jangar Singh Shyam committed suicide while he was doing his second commission in the Mithila Museum in Japan. Till today, the reason for this extreme step is unknown. Nevertheless, the museum curator is held responsible because in the art world, the theory is that Jangar Singh Shyam was pressurized to complete the artwork in a short duration of time, and also is pressurized on doing more work in the very limited period of time. But nevertheless, it was a very tragic incident which should not happen to any artist. And later on, what happened is in recent years, there are quite a few of artists who have taken up gond painting. Now, most of them are the relatives who had joined Jangar Singh Shyam and come to Bhopal to create gond art. Among them, his wife, Nankosia Shyam, had created one of the books by Puffin publication, the children's book called Bully and the Tiger. And the current contemporary artists are Bajju Shyam. Bajju Shyam rose to prominence due to his work. Here is Bajju Shyam. He's holding a book called The London Jungle Book. It is an experience of his experience of him traveling to London for an exhibition where he visualizes. Here is an example, a page from the book. It's been published by Tara Books based in Chennai. They've been extensively working with folk painters across India. And here is the visualization of Bajju Shyam, which depicts the London Underground. For his visualization, it's more like a serpent. And this book became so famous in 2006 that he came out with another series called The Night Life of Trees. This is a collaboration between three artists, that is Bajju Shyam, Drugabai, and Ram Singh Urveti. And this book became so famous that today it has been translated in 6 non-English languages. And there has been so much of a demand for the book that there are many of the people who are starting to buy the book to tear the pages of the book and frame them into artwork in their homes. So seeing this demand, Tara Books came out with creating prints of this. And these are, here is an idea about the book. And here is the various translations. And he was presented with the Padma Shri in 2019. Now, this is a proud moment for the folk artists being recognized in the recent years in the present government, where it's become a people's Padma. Next artist we would see is Drugabai. Drugabai is one of the relatives of Jangar Singh Shyam. Now, she has been practicing the art along with her husband. And she has been coming out with some modern elements with it, like her experience during her travels, her life in the city over here, you could see. Then you've got the folk element again, the Pardan festivals are being depicted. Then you've got one of the paintings depicting women collecting the mawa fruit from the mawa tree. Then here is one of the modern paintings. And she had recently done one of the murals in the 2018 Kochi Binale. Here is a photograph of the murals which she did using woodwork in her own style of art along with her husband. And she was presented with Padma Shri in 2022. So next, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be going to Mithila Art Form from Bihar. And Mithila is the term which the artists prefer to use, but the outside world prefers to call it as Madhubani too. Mithila Art Form is actually a ritualistic art form which is done as part of marriage rituals at the home of the bride, which is known as Kobargar. Here is an example of a Kobargar at the home of Tejnara in Ja. And this art form has also got distinction in various styles according to the caste system too. That's something interesting. But today, that rigid system is now slowly fading away, which we'll see later on. And this is done just before the marriage. It's done in the home of the bride, where it's known as the Kobargar, where the home is painted and also the nuptial chamber is painted. One of the elements in this art form in the Kobargar painting is the fertility symbols. Like here you could see on the left tortoise, and here is an image of a bamboo. Usually in the Mithila region of North Bihar, women after they marry, actually young girls have the suffix called as Kumari. Once they are married, they become Devi. Because Mithila is again connected with Sita Ma of Ramayana. So here women are considered goddess themselves. So what happens is when a girl gets married, when she goes to the groom's home, she is given a bamboo sapling and she is asked to plant it at the backyard of the home. This happens in villages, of course, not possible in the town because you don't have enough space even for your home. So this symbolizes fertility and also ensuring offspring for the coming generations. Now, this is one of the elements. Then you got images of the fish, tortoise, and the elephant, again connected with fertility and well-being. And here is Tej Narayan Jha, the artist who had painted his home during his daughter's wedding. And another one is the Gosayangar, which is the prayer chamber or the puja room, you could call it, inside the home. Now, these two are done. It was in the 1966-68 drought that the artist Bhaskar Kulkarni went to Madhubani and gave out handmade paper, the mill paper to these women artists to create Madhubani art form as a supplementary income, by which he created a series of exhibitions in cities like Mumbai and Delhi, and even he took them abroad. Now, this art form, it was then that it came from the walls to the paper. And today there are numerous artists who are practicing Madhubani art form. It's not just women, it has also gone to men. And many of them have won Padma Shri award. One of the earliest artists is Ganga Devi, Padma Shri Ganga Devi. She was selected for the Padma Shri in 1984. And here is a home of one of the artists with fish. He uses fish for the Om sign at the entrance, because fish in their tradition is a sacred symbol. And interestingly, one of the emblems used by the union of the state of Uttar Pradesh is fish symbol. And now here you could see this coming into the paper. Now this is into three categories. One is you got the Kayast style, which is more of line drawings with red and black. Now they have started using colors. And this is one of the folded paper, which is given to the bride, in which she is, which is sent to the groom's family by the bride's family. And this one has got illustration of sacred motifs again. This is done during wedding, and inside this they place the kumkum, and this is offered to the groom's family. This has been done by Padma Shri Mahasundari Devi's daughter, Bipa Das. Again, in the same style, you got the Dasavatara. And this is one of a recent creation which has got color also, but it's a line drawing tradition, the Kayas tradition of the Kumbha. And this is a painting from Padma Shri Mahasundari Devi, who won the Padma Shri in 2011, about 2 years before her demise. And she is known in this world because she is one of the early persons who made a cooperative for Madhubani lady artists. And under her guidance came quite a few artists whom we'll be seeing. And this is another national award winning artist. She is Leela Devi. She has depicted the birth of Buddha. And she had gone to US and UK for quite a few exhibitions. And one of her experience was visiting a fair where she has seen roller coaster. Here is a depiction of an American couple over here and the roller coaster, which she has bought into the art form. Then followed by this, we have got the second tradition, that is a Brahmin tradition, which is profusely colored. But this Brahmin tradition uses mostly the images of the gods and goddesses. And now this one, what happens is today many of the artists have bought some of the modern elements and they've been using the art form to express themselves. A very good example is the Mithila artist called Dulari Devi, Padma Shri Dulari Devi, who got a Padma Shri in 2021. She worked as an or a household worker in the house of Padma Shri Mahasundari Devi. And what she did is she started to learn the art form and she started to express herself. Here is a painting by Dulari Devi, Padma Shri Dulari Devi, which depicts the discrimination meted out to economically weaker women at primary health centers where children are being vaccinated. Now, here is a personal experience where you can see a lady over here crying. It is actually her own self-portrait, literally. About her struggle, she had to get vaccination done for her child. Whereas women from other communities had no problem, but they could always be privileged enough to be served first. Now, the third tradition, I was talking to you about three traditions in this Mithila art form. The third is a tattoo tradition. Tattoo tradition is predominantly among the lower caste community members where they use this form. The traditional one was the horizontal panels, which you see over here, which depicts their mythological stories, especially the epic of Raja Salesh. Now that one is slowly faded away. And what they've done is they started to color these also. But there is a new generation of artists who have been doing this art form, where they have been infusing new elements. Like, for instance, here is one of the books by Tara Books, done by Padma Shri Dulari Devi, which is sharing her experiences in her village. The title of the book is Following My Paintbrush. One of the depiction over here you could see, once again, sorry, I've been having a slow. Here it is. Her experience with taking the children to the local, when the ice cream man visits. Now, these are the modern elements which the artists are bringing in. This is a citation for the Padma Shri Dulari Devi, and here is a portrait of her. And the younger artists nowadays, this is a work done by an artist called Ram Baros Jha, who does not come from the Mithila tradition, but he has been, as a child, observing his mother doing the art form in his home and other ladies in his village. And he has come out with this, a combination between the profusely colored Brahmin style and you got the Kayast line drawing style also. And he has been fascinated by the water world. So most of his paintings will be mermaids and fishes, tortoise, and so on. And he uses the traditional Kayast style. Here he uses a depiction of Ekalavya offering his thumb to Drona from the Mahabharata epic. And another younger artist is Amrita Jha, who's been working on a series on Sri Krishna. And here is one of a painting depicting Sri Krishna's birth and then Vasudeva taking him to Mathura. And this art form, again, like other art forms, like you had seen in the previous webinar, Varli and Saura, they've been taken into the saris. But the interesting thing over here is it is the the Mithila artists themselves who are doing it. Like, for instance, here is an artist. He has been working on this Tusar silk sari for about a couple of months. This he showed me way back in 2009. And this is a pretty expensive affair too. So this is how they've been doing. And also there has been quite a few institutions who have come around in Darbhanga and Madhubani, where they have been helping the artists to bring this art form in mugs, trays, and so on. So next art form, we'll go to Patachitra of Odisha. Patachitra of Odisha has got its origin with the Puri Sri Jagannath Temple. It is during after the Jagannath, during the annual festival, after the idol of Lord Jagannath is given on a ritual bath. The legend goes that he catches cold, so he's given rest. So at that time, for 15 days, the temple is closed for devotees. And that period is known, and during that period, these Patachitra paintings were displayed in the temple premises. As these become the temporary shrines, they were known as the Ansar Patti. And this art form, if you notice, this is one of the old Patachitra paintings. And this is one of the art forms also where the artist used to produce the images of Sri Jagannath, like this image you see over here, and other images from Lord Krishna's life, and Vaishnavized motifs, sometimes even Lord Shiva and the goddesses, for devotees to buy them and take it back to their homes. And this art form is practiced mostly by the Chitrakar community members. And today, there is a village about 14 kilometers away, if I'm not wrong, I hope I'm right, it's about 14 kilometers away from Puri, called Raghurajpur, which has got about 350 families. Literally all families over here, every family member literally is an artisan. They make this art form mostly in cloth. Now they've started to do it in paper. But this is a very delicate art form where even there is a process where they do to de-starch the cloth, and then they make a mix of chalk powder and the glue from the tamarind seeds, and they paste it on the sheet of cotton sheet, and they rub it with two stones and making it a smooth surface, and they produce some really great masterpieces over here. And this is a depiction of the life of Sri Krishna, which comes in the border. Here you can see it on the border. Then in the center you got mostly his childhood. In the center you got his Ras Leelas, and over here in the middle bottom you got the Dasavatara. Here is a artisan lady in front of her house in Raghurajpur. Couple of artists displaying their form. There are two forms in this. One is the one they do it in paper and cloth, and the second form is called as the Talpata Chitra. Talpata Chitra is made using palm leaf scrolls, which are tied together. It's a very intricate process where it is done where they soak the palm leaf in turmeric water for about 3 months period. Then they dry it. They stitch the palm leaves together, and they use a stencil to etch to make designs over there. And then they rub it with sooth of lamb so that it gives this black outline. After which they will do these paintings, and which will come out like this. And there is also colored ones and only black ones. And of late, the recent visit of our Prime Minister to Netherlands, he had been proudly been discussing about the Patachitra art to the Prime Minister of Netherlands, Mette Frederiksen, who had proudly displayed it in a home during the tour of her home. And this was also the art form, the gift which the Prime Minister had offered her during a visit to India a couple of years back. And again, Patachitra again has come into other commercial uses like trays, bags, and so on. Unfortunately, the bigger paintings have got the artisan's name, but these ones are commercially done. They don't carry the artisan's name. Connected with the Patachitra of Odisha is Pata, or sorry, it's a wrong name I've used. It is Patua. Patua of Bengal. This is an art form which is more of storytelling. Now we are going to see a couple of folk paintings which are more of a storytelling tradition where the narrators use their own painted scrolls to narrate popular epics. Here, if you notice, this is an art form which has been again done by the Chitrakar community, who are mostly Muslims who were converted during the medieval times, but they do have many of the Hindu traditions. And they mostly depict the local Puranas like Manasa Devi Purana and Ramayana. Very less of Mahabharata is narrated. What they do is they have the scroll which is rolled, and they keep unrolling it as they are narrating it. Like you could see this lady over here. And here again, the artists have been very innovative, where some of the artists have done scrolls influenced by the impact of 9/11. There is one artist who has worked on a scroll depicting Osama bin Laden as a global villain, and so on. And this they do it usually from for their patrons, who are the landlords. And what happens is during festival seasons, the women travel to the patron's home and they will be narrating this. For that, they will be given food grains and uh, other material for their survival for the year. And on the long run, they were also given land grant to do their own farming. Recently, during the COVID lockdown, one of the artists, here is a lady, she had done a scroll on giving awareness to the public about the effects of COVID and how to stay safe. Actually, her video went viral in across India. Now, reflection of one of the you could not call it reflection, I would call it as a outcome of the Patua of Bengal is the Kalighat painting. The Kalighat painting gets its name from the paintings, which are the single piece rectangular paintings sold outside the Kali temple of Kolkata. And this form, it is mainly depiction of goddess Kali, where pilgrims used to buy this and take it back home. And also this form, interestingly, was used for the freedom movement. And here is one of the scrolls, which every lady will love, where the lady of the house is beating up the husband. And this is a form which was depicted as a woman who's patriotic and who's teaching a lesson to an unpatriotic husband. And some of the newer versions of the earlier ones, these are very old from a collection of a private collector. And these are some of the recent ones which are being sold. And next we go to Tanka paintings. Tanka paintings are paintings which depict mostly which belong to the Himalayan Buddhist school. You could find them in Sikkim, Western Arunachal Pradesh, especially Tawang region. Then you got them in Laul, Spiti of northern Himachal, then Dharmasala and the Ladakh region. Now this art form is again connected with the Mandala form. Please remember, this is not a commercial art form. This is something which is done by an artist who does not need to be a lama, that is a monk, but it needs to be a person who's very engrossed in, who's very knowledgeable about the Buddhist philosophy. And these mandalas, especially the Tanka paintings with mandalas, are made like this one, are used by monks to concentrate and to help them in enlightenment. Here are various types of mandalas. Apart from this, they have depiction of the deities in Himalayan Buddhist forms. And what they do is, first, a thick cotton cloth is taken, and on that they make a sketching with proper measurements like this one. This is a image of the green Tara, who is one of the icons painted in Tanka, and very intricate and precise measurements are made on that. And then the artist begins to work. The cloth is tied to a wooden frame, like you could see over here, so that it does not shrink. And first they make the border and they start it. It will take months together for the artist to complete. It is more of a spiritual and a meditational process for the artist to do this work. It's not done commercially. So it is more of an expression of the artist's, how do you say, belief, or you could call it the bhakti also. And after this one is taken and stitched on a silk scroll. There are very large tankas which are revealed during certain festivals in Buddhist monasteries. Like this tanka, which is revealed in the Tawang monastery for the pilgrims who come for the annual festival. And this is a scroll, a Tanka scroll, a very giant size Tanka scroll revealed once in 12 years during the Naropa festival in the Hemis monastery in Ladakh. This is the one which depicts Guru Padmasambhava. And here is another scroll from the same Hemis monastery depicting Gyaltsar's Rinpoche, one of the important personalities in Himalayan Buddhism. And this is adorned with pearls. And this is the prized possessions in many of these monasteries. Another display in Hemis monastery. And here is a collection of Tanka scrolls in the government museum in Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh. Next, we go on to the manuscript painting of Assam. Manuscript painting of Assam is a tradition which is very old. There is a mention of this that the Kamrupa is the old name for modern day Assam. Kamrupa king Bhaskara Varma had made a present to Harshavardhana of Kanauj. This mentioned is in Bana's Harsha Charitra, where he made a present in the 7th century. He made a present of paintings, manuscript paintings, along with a set of painting materials. Now, this manuscript painting deals mostly on religious themes, and interestingly, there is mostly on the Bhagavata Purana. And there is also a manuscript in the Assam Museum known as the Hasti Vidyarana. Hasti Vidyarana is a manual which is used for as a elephant maintenance and manual which was commissioned by the king Sivasingha sometime in the 17th century. Now, this is a manuscript tradition in Assam, is connected with the Vaishnavite scholar saint Srimanta Shankardeva, who in the 16th century had used these manuscript paintings as a material so that the monks can carry to villages to narrate Bhagavata Purana. And in the Assamese Vaishnava tradition initiated by Srimanta Shankardeva, they don't use image of gods, but it is the Bhagavata Purana which is the main deity. Here is a very good example of a monastery, a satra in Majuli Island, where in the pedestal on the top, you could see is the Srimad Bhagavata Purana which is placed. And there is also regular readings of the Bhagavata Purana. Like here, on a pedestal, you got the manuscript which is rolled into cotton cloth and placed on a pedestal, which is mounted on a wooden kurma, that is a tortoise. Now, this manuscript is made not using palm leaf scroll, but the inner bark of the Sanchi tree in Assamese language. So it is also known as Sanchipat. And this art form has been revived in modern times by younger artists who are again connected with the satras or the monasteries in Majuli Island. And they have been conducting regular workshops too. And one of the important satras over here is the Auniyati Satra in Majuli Island, where in their collection they have this miniature manuscript, which is not an illustrated manuscript, but a written manuscript. And they have one of the prized possessions is one of the old manuscripts which comes from Srimanta Shankardeva's times here in their collection, which is well preserved in a wooden box, which is taken only during sacred occasions, which is depicting again the Bhagavata Purana stories. And in modern times, like here you can see an artist who has been conducting workshop over here. And this, they use only natural material for painting. They don't use poster colors. Of course, some artists have now taken the art form to by depicting the motifs over here in paper. Here is an image which shows you the inner bark of the Sanchi tree. That is the Sanchi, but it gets its name from. And this is one of the recent creation by an artist, Mrindu Mocham Bora. Of course, it is done on the Sanchi bark, but the theme are the same. And they are preserved in wooden boxes like this one. And one of the recent creations by the artist on paper is the Dasavatara. So next we move on to Pichwai of Rajasthan. Pichwai literally means on the background. Pichwai is a tradition which is connected with the Srinathji Temple in Nathdwara of Rajasthan. And this form is actually, it was first, they were made in cloth, which were offered to Srinathji by devotees visiting the temple as a backdrop for the image. But later on, now you have them which are made as wall mount frames like this one, like this painting you see of Srinathji. And they have also started to make it on the boards. Now, this art form, you can trace it up to one of the first mentions of this art form is from the 18th century. So where quite a few artists from Udaipur and Jaipur migrated, or rather they were invited by the priests of the Pushti Marg Vaishnavite sect, founded by Vallabhacharya. And here is an artist working on the board. And this art form is known for, like miniature art of Rajasthan, this is known for the intricate details over here. Now, in this artist, when he's working, what they start is they do the work, the miniature, the minute details, and then they get into painting Srinathji. Now, here you could see the finer details of depiction of birds, peacock, then you've got squirrels on trees and so on. And now the artists have started to make this Srinathji paintings, the outside the cloth they've taken into the board, and they've started to use golden foil work also. Here are a couple of old pitchwise. Here is a depiction of the Vrindavan Yatra. And here is one of the recent production of a pitchwai, which is depicting Lord Krishna bringing back the herd back to Vrindavan after grazing them in the evening. There are around 60 occasions when the pitchwai is presented in Srinathji Temple. And these 60 occasions, not some of the old pitchwais are being used. Today, to commission a new pitchwai is very costly affair. So the temple authorities of Srinathji do take care of these pitchwais very carefully. And these are the modern impact of depiction of Srinathji using, as I told you, though they are painted, they use gold foil. And these are a fusion between the miniature Rajasthan school of miniature painting and the pitchwai, the Nathdwara school of painting. There is an artist who has created a miniature Srinathji paintings by which people can take it in their purses. And now in modern sense, there have been fashion designers who have been bringing the pitchwai motifs into lehengas. Now these lehengas which you are seeing now cost a bomb, literally. But it is not done by the artists from Nathdwara. It is done by the fashion designers themselves. So this is something which again is a cultural appropriation, misappropriation rather. So next we'll see is Chitrakati of Maharashtra. Chitrakati again is a storytelling form where the artists use a rectangular panel to perform stories, especially from Ramayana and Nandi Purana. This is an art form which totally became extinct till only one family took up a revival of this art form. It was by Padma Shri Parasuram Gangavane, who had taken this art form and revived it. Chitrakati is an art form practiced by the Takar community, who also served as the spies of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Because the Chitrakati artists, they had a lifestyle which was more nomadic in nature. They used to go from village to village, town to town, whereby at night they used to narrate the epics like Ramayana, and here you could see Nandi Puran. And in the daytime, they used to go around the homes of their patrons, collecting food grains and so on. And they were also doing fishing, because traditionally they come as a fishing community. And they used to also collect information and pass on to the court of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And this art form again is narrated by, this is one of the modern renderings by the sons of Parasuram Gangavane, Padma Shri Parasuram Gangavane. And this again has got a little bit of this. You can notice the style of art form is more of a Deccani style, which has its origins from the Vijayanagara Empire from South India, because the style is very akin to the paintings you see over, have been borrowed from the paintings you could see in the Lepakshi, see Sri Veerabhadra Swami temple in Lepakshi, Karnataka. Here is Padma Shri Parasuram Gangavane during one of the narration of starting of the Ramayana epic. Now, this is the way they use the Chitrakati rectangular paintings over here. and they narrate using a stringed instrument and a small drum and cymbals. Here is a sun painting. He is Eknath Gangavane, and the citation of Padma Shri Parasuram Gangavane during his Padma Shri in 2021. Next, we go on to Rajasthan again, which is the Fat painting. Fat painting is a long scroll which is measured around 15 to 30 feet long and about 4 to 5 feet high. This is a form which is again a storytelling form where the artists of Shahpura and the Joshi community artists from Shahpura and Chittorgarh make the painting, and it is commissioned by the Bopa, a nomadic priest, who take this scrolls and they narrate it in the homes of the patron. Here is one of the artists who's displaying his work in Chittorgarh, and also they've started to make here, and this epic centers around Babuji and Devji, and here is a depiction of Babuji. Then also artists have started to make Ramayana epic and so on. And this art form also is something where artists have made Jain forms. And here is one of the modern renderings of a small miniature version of Babuji epic done by an artist in Shahpura. And also he has done his version of Devi's epic. And also they do the Radha and Krishna playing Holi. Now this is the actual context where the Fat is used, where the Bopa, the priest who's dressed in red, carries a Ravana Hatha, which is a stringed instrument, and he keeps narrating units of the story, and he is assisted by his wife, the Bopi. And whenever a Fat is damaged, what happens is the Bopas take the Fat and they soak them in the Pushkar lake. And it is a very much of a ritualistic process where they do offering to Babuji and Devji, and then they begin the narrative. Now, this is a smaller version of the Fat. And now, Fat again, the artists have innovated themselves where they made, here is a depiction of an artist who has done the Fat of Babuji's wedding. And here is one of the newer versions of Fat style used in Kumara Sambhavas. Kumara Sambhava done by an artist, which is costs about 2 lakh rupees. Next, we go into textile art. That is the Kalamkari art of Andhra Pradesh. This is an art form, again, as I told you, it is connected with the Vijayanagar paintings, of which you could see some of them, remnants of them in Lepakshi, Sri Veerabhadra Swami Temple in Lepakshi, Karnataka, in the ceiling. Now, this style is still used over here. There are about 3 schools of Kalamkari painting. The first school you could say is the Machilipatnam school, which is highly Persianized because Machilipatnam came under the Golconda Nizams and they were completely painted form. And the second school is the Sri Kalashdi school. Sri Kalashdi is a temple town in southern Andhra Pradesh, where this form is still being practiced, and this is a textile form. And there's a very laborious process where the cloth is first washed, dried, then soaked in buffalo milk and mixed with Indian gooseberry powder, dust, and dried again. After that, the initial outline is drawn using charcoal. They are mostly floral and animal motifs, and then they do a washing process, and they use the paint which is used is a mixture with alum, palm jaggery, and iron rust. Iron rust because it gives the oxidized texture of for the final output. And what the women do is, the artists, it is both men and women who do, and it is more of a family affair. They do this painting on the cloth, which is placed on a kambal, because the kambal will absorb excess of the color. And again, after that, the material they use is the burnt twig of a tamarind tree, right? That is used as a charcoal pencil actually. And the paste which they use, or the base they use, is known as kasam, which is a metal paste. And there are quite a few number of rewashing and cleaning, after which it gets the final form. And in the Kalamkari tradition, they both do painting and block printing. So whenever you buy anything in Kalamkari, you might think that it is pretty used. The reason that it gets its texture so is because of the fact that it's been washed and rewashed to give the final output. And now the artists are coming up with some wall mount paintings like this one by a Kalamkari artist who has made a tree of life panel. And this is a final outcome. Now today you see Kalamkari being sold as chudidar sets. You got Kalamkari saris and so on and so forth. But this was an art form which was based only in temples as an offering, as a decorative motifs of temple. Now the third school of Kalamkari is the Karpoor School, which is a region in Tanjavur district. And this particular art form was mostly patronized by the Tanjavur Marathas. Excuse me. And this art form again is used as wall hangings in the temples during festivals like this one you see of Lord Shiva and Parvati being on the Nandi Vahana, surrounded by devotees. And another important element which is used is during the chariot festivals as a decoration for chariots in Tamil Nadu. Here is one of the recent chariot festivals where you got these decorations being done. And this cylindrical hangings are very popular, where you get the smaller versions of it where people buy it and place it in their home. And this is practiced mostly by, again, there is only a couple of families. Among them, there is one of the famed artists who passed away in 1987, if I'm not wrong, who was a national award winner. His name is Mr. M. Perumal. Now this art form is still kept alive by his son. Here are some of it exhibits and his work. This is a traditional one. On the right, you could see the face of Lord Hanuman. And within that, they made the Ramayana epic. Here is at his home, he's displaying some of the work. And these artists have also brought this art form into the sari. Now, again, the next textile painting we would see is Matani Pichedi, which is from Gujarat. This is an art form which is practiced mostly done only by the Bagri, a nomadic community, nomadic and a pastoral community in Gujarat, who are once by the British laws known as the criminal tribe, who were denotified later in the 1970s by the Indian government. And this is a mobile shrine which they are commissioned, the Bagri commission. People are commissioned by other nomadic communities who are also known by the name as Devi Puja. And the main theme of this paintings are depiction of various goddesses, various devis. Among them, the popular devis are Dasama Devi, who rides a camel. And here again is a mix between, this art form also is a mix between hand painting, but here the brush they use again is not the tamarind twigs, but it's a bulbul tree twigs, and block printing, sorry. And the final one will be this. This is the background will be white with red and black colors. You will not, of course, there are some artists who do multiple colors, but they don't profusely colored. The coloring of it is little much lesser. And here is a depiction of Dasama Devi. And this particular canopy, it is used as a mobile shrine. And nowadays, they also use this painting as an offering to the goddess in the shrine. When during the festival of Navaratri, then you got the Dasama Devi Virat, which falls in July, August time, to the shrines for Devi. Here you could see that See, the center will always be depicting Devi, and on the either sides will be depicting the devotees and also the ancestors of the Vagari community, and then devotees entering the shrine. And here is depiction of Bauchara Devi, who's seated on a cock, on a rooster, sorry. And these are the modern ones, which are the smaller versions, which are being sold as wall hangings. But the process is the same. And the process is similar to Kalamkari, where there are minor differences, but nevertheless, it is also a laborious process where painting, washing, again repainting, and again rewashing is a process which they do. Now we come back to South India. Here is the mural paintings of Kerala. The mural paintings of Kerala are adorned around the adorned around the temples in the the exterior walls of the temples in Kerala. And this is a tradition which dates back to the 9th to 11th century. And this one they've used, it is more of a fresco style where the wet surface is painted on. But in present times, you can even commission this art form to be painted in your living hall. And this is a depiction of Gajendra Moksham from the Krishnapuram Palace in Alapi district. And here is depiction of Sri Nadaraja at the Sri Mahadeva Temple in Pallimana in central Kerala. And one of the places which you could see, which many tourists visit, is the Matanjari Palace, also known as the Dutch Palace, because the Dutch gifted this palace to, as a token of appreciation for granting them trading rights to the Kochi Maharaja. Here is some beautiful panels of the Ramayana epic. And this is a panel which depicts Sri Rama's birth. And again from the Matanjari Palace, Kumbhakarna is sleeping and various people trying to wake him up while the Ramayana war is going on. This art form was actually revived in 1970 when the Krishna temple in Guruvayur caught fire and quite a few portions of the mural paintings in the temple were destroyed. At that time, the Guruvayur Devasam, the temple management committee decided to start with the Institute of Mural Painting, which is still functioning, and they've been producing some really promising younger artists. But this form has now come out of the walls and into paper. They don't do, if I'm not wrong, I don't suppose they do much on canvas. But they still, for the temple painting, they still do the murals in which, in the temples where murals are damaged. They retest by these artists who come out from the Institute of Mural Painting. Here you could see one of the temples being redone. And now what they do is they still use the fresco process where there are 3 levels of doing the background. First is they mix lime and sand and plaster on the wall. The second one is lime, sand, and a bit of cotton is used. Why cotton? Cotton is used to give the shine on the finished painting. And the third time, about the third stage, about 25 to 30 times, washes of a mix of quick lime and fine tender coconut water is used so that it gives a texture. And please remember, they have to work on the background when it is still wet. If it becomes dry, the painting cannot be done. Here is one of the newer version of the Kerala, newer paintings done on a Sri Vimana of temple in Kerala. And this is what one of the young promising artists, Vishnu Vikraman, he has been doing this. He has passed out of Institute of Mural Painting in Kerala, and he's been doing this on paper. Here is a depiction of Sri Krishna. Again, Rasalila, you got depiction of Ashtalakshmi with Sri Ganesh in the center. And there have been artists who have been doing in individual homes. If you got a large enough space in your hall, you can always contact the Institute of Mural Painting, whom they will be willing to send an artist, get the painting done. And please remember, this painting in a mural will last longer than any modern house. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, coming back to my home state, that is the Tanjore painting of Tamil Nadu. Tanjore paintings are pretty famous nowadays across India. But here I would like to show you some of the old paintings. This is in Tamil, we call it as a Palagai Padam. Palagai Padam meaning, Palagai is wooden plank and Padam meaning picture. Usually there are two, the old paintings were done both on glass, which was mainly a Chinese influence, and then they were done on the wooden plank. And this again has got its roots from the Vijayanagara school of painting. And they were patronized mostly by the Tanjavur Maratha kings. Among them, importantly, Sarfoji II in the 1700s, that is the 18th century. He patronized many of the artists. And this art form also found way into the homes of the wealthy people because this art form mainly produces images of deities of the Hindu pantheon, where the paintings are used in their puja rooms, more as not as decorative items alone, but also in the puja rooms. Here are some of the old paintings. And they were also fashioned as a box. Now here you could see Lord Dakshinamurti, and this is depicted more as a box. Now these are very old ones. With this you can find it in quite a few antique shops. And this is an interesting process where this is not just done as a painting, but also they profusely use gold foil in this. Now this is an impact. The influence of Tanjore paintings is the one you saw how the Pichwai artists have been employing the gold foil for images of Srinathji. It's all the way up to Rajasthan. What they do is they first take the wooden plank over which a canvas is pasted. Then the wooden plank will usually be a jackfruit tree wood or a teak wood. And over that, a canvas is pasted using Arabic gum. And on the canvas, you got painting of a mix of, they do a gesso coating, which is a mix of powdered limestone with mixed with tamarind, an extract from the tamarind seed. And this one is applied and they do a little bit of etching work. A minute, I'll just show you. Sorry, I'm exceeding over here the time. Yeah, 2 minutes past the deadline, and here it is. Yeah, this is how the artists do. They do sketching on it first, then they put on the gold foil, and then they do the intricate painting. And this is not just gold foil, they also use semi-precious stones to place over here as an adornation. And here I would like to share with you a friend of mine, and Tanjore artist over here called Mr. Balaji Srinivasan, his rendering of Sri Rajagopala Swami, who is the main deity of a temple in Mannargudi. Here, if you look closer, you could see the curls on Sri Krishna's head. And also, you could see that he has used semi-precious stones as embellishment. And here you could see a really wonderful work of Tanjore painting. And one of the, next I would like to show you one of the bazaar, which is commonly available Tanjore paintings. Here is of goddess Gajalakshmi. Now this you could see they've used some really bright colors, and nowadays even artists have started to use fluorescent color, which is really glitchy. And this one, it is doubtful whether it is a original gold foil they use and also semi-precious stones, but nevertheless they put up a price. But a genuine Tanjore painting will be costing a bomb. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Ministry of Tourism to give me this opportunity to share with you various folk painting schools available across India. So any of you have got any questions, anything, do let me know. I hope you did enjoy this presentation. Nandri, Dhanyavad, thank you.
Hari ji, it was again a wonderful presentation and proud of you. I am also your friend. You are not just a tour guide, you are the depth of knowledge, in this painting, the area, it is, the amazing, it is really amazing. So it was a wonderful presentation. Both of the series, like we are not satisfied. We need more. ये दिल मांगे more. So that we will come again with you after few the webinar series to see the more paintings. Oh my God, such a wonderful presentation. And here the thank you very much to join us. It was the vision of our ADG madam that we should show the 75 destination with tour guides. And here you prove that the incredible India tourist guide, they are really incredible. Presentation was outstanding.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much. Thanks our team, especially the Motosi ji, Firoz Khan sir. Always he is here for us. He is the technical head, and without him, nothing is possible. So viewers, thank you very much, and be prepared again next Saturday, 11 a.m. We will come again with the wonderful webinar series. Thank you very much, Harijit. Thank you very much, all the participants who attended this beautiful webinar. Thank you. Namaskar.